Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Conor here. We are back with the newly named Hardline episode 2, where me and Gabe get into absolutely everything when it comes to Leeds United. Some debate, some discussion, some discourse regarding this fantastic club. Leeds United facing Sunderland tomorrow. We'll be back here with your watch along. We've got content throughout the day tomorrow as well. Listen, it's going to be a watch along tomorrow with some added people in as well, which I'm sure is going to make it a little bit more spicy. Make sure you tune into that one. But as always, every single week, and we're going to be doing this, and I'm delighted, as always, to be sponsored by IPM Group UK, or your CCTV and security needs. Keep it within the Leeds United community. We are also sponsored on this video and for the foreseeable future by the Job Match Group, and we are sponsored as well by GNO. Make sure you check those guys out. More on those to come in the future. And for this one, everybody, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by my co-host Gabe, who, listen, this is going to be a Sunday regular on the Hardline. Thank you to everybody joining us here on this evening. I hope you've had a really nice weekend. And without any further ado, our favorite American. How you doing, mate?
The Hardline. It sounds like true crime TV. And then you've got that really serious music playing. You've been watching too much American crime show.
I watch a lot of American crime.
I thought you might actually, because I'm like, is Chris Hansen coming in to sit someone down?
I'm Chris Hansen.
Gabe is 39. He's been apprehended by the police.
Don't take the mick out of our new show, for goodness sake. You'll big it up.
Listen, yeah. Everybody should watch. Everybody should enlist the services of IPM because CCTV.
Please don't be sarcastic there.
I'm not being sarcastic. This is just my voice.
You've got a stupid sarcastic.
I'm an American. I don't understand sarcasm. Do you remember? I'm certain you've sent that to me before.
Mark says, evening, guys. Very much looking forward to the Mackhams tomorrow night. Shank said, stuff the Mackhams. Evening, Conor. How you, mate?
By the way, Shank said, stuff the Mackhams is the most Yorkshire thing I've heard all day, all week, really.
Stuff the Mackhams. Tanaka is the best player in our team and the best we've had in a long time. I feel like Dave's just come out there with
Dave's ready for it.
Yeah, general comment there. Evening, all. Just wanted to say how good was Joel Pro versus the Hornets. He is it. Premier League time. Finish it with this sublime touch in the box. Evening, Conor. Leeds 3, Sunderland 1. What is the best result for Sheffield United? We take Sunderland out of the autos, or I mean, flipping out. It's an interesting conversation right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything that's going on with Sheffield United, Leeds, the automatic places. Where do you want to start, sir, for this one?
Yeah, I think it's nice to see enthusiasm, right? Everyone seems to be
You take the lead. I'm going to let you take the lead.
Oh, is this the lead position? Is this
how it's going to stand now? From now on, we do this across the pond on the Patreon. We used to do this on across the pond on the Patreon. The person in the first screen is always the lead. So I'm just
also known as the person. I am the first in here. Listen, right. I think it's good to be a Leeds fan right now, and everyone's very sort of jazzed up. Our form has been really good. I think that there are not reasons for concern in relation to our own play because it's been stellar, but I think there are reasons to not get a little bit too carried away. Because when you actually look at the table right now, I know we've played one less game, but we're not in first. For as good as we've been, and as amazing as the goal differential has been, our goal differential has been plus 21 over the last 10 matches. Sheffield's has been number 2; they're plus 5. I mean, obviously, that's a huge difference. In terms of points over the last 10 games, we're on 24. Sheffield's on 22. So the gap, even though I think there's lots of reasons to say when you're looking at outfield play, Leeds are a far better team. I think there are, if I'm a Sheffield United fan, I think there are reasons for me to think that we can get at Leeds, or they can get at Leeds at Bramall Lane. And obviously, we have to take care of Sunderland. Sunderland haven't been bad either. Over their last 10, at 19 points, their goal differential is plus 5. 5 wins, 4 draws, only 1 defeat. So, it is sort of feeling like a 2-horse race. And I'm delighted with the way Leeds have been playing. But the margin is still pretty small between us and Sheffield. And the reality is that if we drop a couple of results, if we don't keep this up, we could find ourselves in a place we don't want to be. So I'm exactly where everyone's at. I'm very excited. The team is playing excellently. I mean, again, a goal differential of 21 over the last 10 matches versus, 5 is the second ranked team on it. That's tremendous. But for as good as we've been, where it counts in the points column, we're not actually gaining that much distance. So I think we can be happy, enthusiastic, and not bring it down, but we also have to be careful that we have to keep the levels up, and it is a concern. I think that we'll talk. I'm sure we'll get into into them, but there are a couple areas I think we have vulnerabilities, and it'd be interesting to see if any of these other top 4 teams, particularly Sheffield United, when we play them away, can exploit them.
So what have you got? So what have you got a little bit of deliberation with then? Is it the fact that Leeds fans are getting a bit too carried away? As you,
I don't think they're getting too carried away. I'm always that guy that and I'll let myself celebrate with reckless abandon at the end of the season when there are no more games to play and we've been promoted. Do you know what I mean? So it's not. This isn't me saying, hey, don't be. Actually, and even in that event, I'll probably be like, oh, we have to spend money to stay in the Premier League. So it's just the way I am. I'm not saying that we're getting carried away. I'm just saying that we don't want to let our rhetoric go to saying we're far and away, like we're in a cruise position and everybody else is struggling. Because when you actually look at the table, that's not the case. There are a lot of data and analytics categories where that is true. I just named a couple of them, and those are important. But like many will say, you don't want to get lost in the data and forget the most important KPIs, which is like points, right, and wins.
But do you not think the KPIs and the data, we've discussed this many a time on air and off air, do you not think longevity wise, let's say, let me just read a few things out to you. Goals per match, goals conceded per match, average possession, clean sheets, XG, shots on targets, big chances, accurate passes, accurate crosses, these are both per match, touches in opposition box per match, corners, XG conceded. Every single one of those statistics tells me that Leeds United right now are the better team than Sheffield United, and we've played one less game than them. Yep. I think you mentioned you just also mentioned
play far and away we are. I agree.
But you also just mentioned the last 10 games. We've not lost a single game in 10. They've lost twice.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I think,
but those losses, we have 3 draws, right? And so it's really only a difference of 2 points.
Yeah, no, 100%. But you'd rather have 2. You'd have 3 draws in there than 2 losses.
I'd rather have wins. And this is not. I don't want to misconstrue this and turn this into like an arbitrary discussion about nothing. I'm not criticizing the team. I want to be clear. I'm not criticizing the team. I'm simply saying that if you're this good, right, and you're dominating all these categories, and in the one statistical category that matters the most, not to say that all these other ones don't, we're not that far and away, then we can't afford to take our foot off the gas at all. Because the couple areas I was asked a couple times in the chat. I think Daniel's asking here what the vulnerabilities are. I think let me reinforce again how good we are in some of these other areas, because the numbers are pretty astounding. But then I want to talk about where I think we're actually vulnerable, and you're all going to be able to guess it if you know anything about me and the things I've been saying for the last couple of years. Listen, when it comes to outfield play, it's not even close. It's not even close. If you combine our non-penalty goals and our assists, we almost double up on the numbers of Sheffield United, right? So our outfield play, I won't make any with the ball. I won't make any concessions to them in any way, shape, or form. What I will say is defensively, there are a couple areas that we are much weaker than them, and in distribution from the back, we're a little bit weaker than them, and primarily goalkeeping play. Now you're going to look at save percentage, which I'm big on, and you're going to say, oh, the numbers aren't that different. I think Sheffield's keeper is somewhere around 76, 78%, and Melier is just below 75.
No, he's outstanding, Cooper. He's outstanding.
Yeah, and he's faced something like 98 shots, and Melier's faced something like 61. And Melier's got a weaker save percentage in fewer opportunities, which is like, a double weakness there. And again, this isn't me just from nowhere finding a reason to bag on Melier. But when you're also, one thing Sheffield does really, really well, we play great with the ball at our feet and the ball on the ground. They play great with the ball in the air. They win the vast majority of their aerial challenges. They're top in the league when it comes to that. We're near the bottom of the league in winning aerial challenges, right? So that, for me, that says if it's a war of attrition, if it's not an open game, if it's scrappy, and by the way, their yellow cards, look at their discipline in comparison to ours. Our discipline is way better, right? What that tells you is they're a little bit more of a physical team. They want to turn it into against elite teams in the division. They want to turn it into a bit of long ball, and their keeper's better at it, by the way, than ours is in terms of launch accuracy. So I'm not saying that we're going to go to Sheffield and lose. I think that we should win. But if I'm putting together the scouting report on Sheffield, and I'm going to say, right, here's where they can hit us. Their team's more physical. They outpace us in every major statistical category in defense. I'm not talking about clean sheets because, we're better than they are. Not by a lot, but we're better than they are. We mostly do that through our control of possession. They get their defensive results through defensive play, better interception rate, higher tackles per match, more card accumulation, and better aerial challenges. That's where they're better than us in all those areas, right? I would still rather be us, but if they make it into a physical war of attrition and turn it into a bunch of ugly balls in the air and ultimately count on something going wrong in our box and put a shot in on Melier, they have a better chance to win in a match like that than we do.
So why didn't they beat us at Ellen Road then?
I'm not saying they should. Yeah, don't misunderstand.
No, I know. You're saying make it into a. You're saying
that's what they should do.
Yeah, no, their advantages are making it into a physical game.
Leeds is better at playing open at home.
But yeah,
they tend to play a little bit more clammy away. They're so good away, but we tend to play a little bit less open away, right? Yeah, we tend to play a bit more conservatively. That favors a team like Sheffield versus.
Do you not think we've become a hell of a lot more like when me and you spoke on Across the Pond in the debrief? I think Leeds' style of play has changed massively. I've said this on a couple of streams now. And obviously your opinion is crystallized on here, Gabe, which is great now because people see it per week. But I've said it on a couple of streams now where I think we're a hell of a lot more aggressive out wide. Our recoveries in the opponent's half. Solomon's now top of the league by a country mile. Dan James is in the top 5.
We play defense by attacking is what.
Yeah.
And 100%. You're right. And we're better at it than they are at defending, by the way.
But the crazy thing about it is everybody talks about Brendan Harrison. Everybody talks about Brendan Harrison being this pressing machine. Brendan Harrison is 100%. That's just the eye test. But the stats tell you that Manor Solomon is actually the most pressy of that Leeds 3 in behind the striker. And then second is Dan James in terms of pressing and recovering that ball high. So for me, these are stats which are quite underlying and tell you that Leeds for me have got a hell of a lot more aggressive when it comes to pressing the opponent when they're trying to play out from the back. And I think you've seen 2 teams away from home in Watford and Coventry who've tried that. And they've been forced inside or they've kicked the ball out of play and they cannot deal with Leeds suffocating them. I think that was almost...
Connor, we play a mid-block away most of the time and we press high when we're home.
Yeah. And I understand with the mid-block. I get that. But
I'm just saying you don't see the same all-out press that you do when we play at home. We tend to be a little bit more conservative in our shape. And for me, that comes from Farke's philosophy. Again, this is not... I want to be clear. Let me just say what I actually mean here. I think we win. I think we go there and win. I think we're better. I think we'll control by possession. But if there's a chance they can win, it will come through those avenues and playing that way.
But do you
have a Leeds United team that can step up to the challenge, get scrappy and get physical. And I'm a little bit concerned with it does seem, I'm not sure if Strauch isn't 100% ready to go. But the one criticism I have of Ethan Mampadu in that center half position is he's not particularly good in the air. And he tends to, like we talked about, that kind of a ball over the top as well. They play a much higher launch percentage than we do. And what that means is a keeper playing the ball long, like at a goal kick. They're better at playing route 1 direct than we are in that sense. So they may try it, and they're a little bit more physical. They tend to win their aerial challenges, and that they foul way more than we do. So that kind of game with that kind of vulnerability, I'm saying that if you're looking at and saying, how do we prepare for Sheffield United? Prepare for them to play this way, especially at home, knowing that we're probably, I think it would be better for us to press them all the way up the pitch. I don't think we will because Farke tends not to do that in away games, especially against teams that he rates. And I think he does rate Sheffield. I think I'd push back on that in the last 2 games. I think the last 2 away games, I think he evidently rates Coventry and Watford. I mean, but those teams are not in the same class as Sheffield. They're not.
Right, but were we not okay? But I
don't want us to treat Sheffield like they're
but we were aggressive. But we were
team. They're not.
But Sunderland Stadium of Light, when they were top of the division, we were very, very aggressive. I felt, and there's no way we were in this.
Most of the matches, though, Connor, would you agree that most of the matches away, you would see us play more mid block than you see us play high?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely more mid block, but you just. Yeah.
Again, we're having a debate about nothing. I'm not saying they're going to beat us this way. I'm saying they're going to come at us.
So are you? Well, you're talking now about obviously the league table right now, and look, points wise they're top. I cannot believe. I cannot quite believe we're having a conversation, and this is an arrogance. I think across the board. I think when you look at every single stat, Leeds United are invariably top or top top two. If you look at every single stat, FB, Ref, FootMob, whatever you want to use, Leeds are top two. So normally,
offensively with the ball, correct? That's right.
Being a day, well, I mean, we've XG conceded. We've conceded 19 goals this season, Gabe, and our goalkeepers chucked about 8 or 9.
Yeah, but there's. I get what you're saying. You're saying it in the masthead stats, right? The big ones. If you dive into more, we're not.
But what are we looking at? But what are we looking at here? How far do we need to be up defensively when you've conceded? We don't concede a lot of chances. We dominate possession.
I'm only taking issue with the way you phrase what you said, that in every statistical category. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not saying that we're not good. I'm saying we
so
can't say that in every statistical category.
So how about how Daniel Farke likes to build up from the back, vertical football. We like to press the opposition. We've got the highest recovery rates in the opposition third, and how Daniel Farke likes to transcend control is by dominating possession. So right now we are dominating possession, and we are being way more ruthless in the second half of the season than what we were in the first half of the season. So that tells me that Leeds are improving drastically.
Well,
then Gabe, one more time, mate, I would say as well, Cardiff, who were unbeaten in 8. This is just me, generalising here. Cardiff, who were unbeaten in 8, and we beat them 7-0. Coventry, who'd won 4 games on the bounce, we beat them 2-0 with ease away. By the way, they've then gone on to win the next 2 games and put themselves in a right chance. They've won 6 games out of 7 now. And then you're looking at Watford, who at home are still in the top 5-6 home teams in the division, albeit their lack of form recently. So I think what Leeds are showing right now is a real assurance, strength, and sort of composure going into the second half of the season as well, 100%. Gabe. Something that I wanted to talk to you about as well, mate, is the stamina and the fitness of the side at the minute. I think in comparison to last season, when it just felt like there was players injured here, there, and everywhere, right now we're seeing Leeds United with, touch wood, but going into probably the last 14 games of the season so far, for me, in the last 6 to 8 weeks, it's been Verber and Bamford, and that's been pretty much it in terms of injuries. And I think other teams have really
as well.
Pascal, true.
Every year we have issues with him.
Yeah, Pascal's definitely in there as well. 100% I'd agree with that. But normally there is a level of Leeds United players, especially at this stage last season. Leeds were feeling the real pinch when it came to injuries. Now, I know we have the international break coming up. Leeds naturally falter when it comes to, getting players back, and Aronson will probably come back with a nick. But
probably not. He's not going to play a lot for the USA.
Yeah, but, overall, I think things are just working in Leeds' favour this season. I think the stats are backing up. I think Leeds' style of play has evolved a little bit, and I think we're getting players fit and across the board, really important players.
And I don't disagree. I just think that it's important to... We can look at how well we're doing, and that is the most important thing, right? And I'm really happy with the form. I also remember us going on a pretty torrid form last season, with Ampadu in the center half position, and I'm a little bit worried that there's going to be a correlative effect there, and Farke's going to want to run with that until the wheels fall off. And I hope they don't. Maybe I'm not blaming Ampadu for the deterioration last season, but I think it's really important to look at the teams around. I think Burnley drew yesterday, so and I think that they have problems scoring goals. You don't have to be as good as we are to get really good results in this league, right? Because up and down the division's poor. The top teams in the division, maybe you don't have as many teams that are able to put up these kind of stratospheric statistics in like every single offensive category, but again, you have a plus minus over the last, plus goal differential of over 20 for Leeds United over the past 10 matches, with Sheffield is +6. And yet, in terms of points wise, they're right there. In fact, they're ahead of us right now, having played one more game. What that tells me is you don't have to be as good as we are on the ball to get good results, and good enough results to contend to win the league. What you have to do is know how to win certain matches. And that's what Leeds have to continue to do. And it has gotten better. We've been leaving fewer points on the pitch. The whole point of this entire diatribe is that I think that the litmus test is going to be against Sheffield. If we can go away and beat Sheffield, which I think we can and should do, and win convincingly. But even if we don't, even if it's like a small margin, I'll feel pretty confident that we'll win the league. If we don't, though, then that tells me that there are certain matches, because, somebody in the comments said having more cards is worse, isn't it? You're right. The reason I'm bringing it up is to show that this team likes to play physical. They like to get into team. We're not a particularly bitey physical team anymore. We don't play that kind of old school Leeds United style, right? We play a very controlled, possession-oriented style of football. When it works, it's incredibly attractive to watch. But we're not like ultra physical matches don't favor us, and that's the only reason I brought up those other statistics. So there's some metrics to tell you and some data to tell you that if you can make the match dirty, disgusting, and physical, then you can probably get under Leeds' skin a little bit. Doesn't mean you'll win. It just means you're not going to beat them in an open game. You're not. There's no team in the league that can beat us in an open game. It's suicide. Look at how good Coventry have been recently. They tried to play us in an open game. They got smoked, right? It's a bad idea. So if you want to play Leeds United, if you're going to get a result against them, you have to turn it into a war of attrition. That's the way Sheffield plays, and they're going to be playing at home. So if we can go there and win convincingly, I'll be good.
Fair enough. Evening, Conor and Gabe says, Stephen Ward, Danny Cook's gifted another One Leeds membership. Shout out to you, Danny. Ev says, Sheffield United fan here. Leeds are 100% better than us and won't lose another game all season. When you beat us, that was one of the most one-sided games I've ever seen. I think Ev, to an extent, is right. And this is kind of where I have to say, like, I know, we try to foster a little bit of debate on here, but it is one of those where I do side with you a little bit. Sheffield United essentially are keeping up with Leeds United right now. Right. They are keeping up with Leeds. I think the outlier I would say is, I think, with all those, as I've mentioned to you and me and you've spoken about this, I think all of that data towards the back end of the season basically, comes together and Leeds United do win this division. I think Sheffield United will falter a little bit more with the games that they've got remaining. I think I've seen enough for now on the eye test, and I've seen enough when it comes to the data to believe right now. And a lot of our players are overperforming, Gabe, in terms of even that forward line, of which I've seen Solomon get to 8 goals now. DJ's on 10, Peru's on 14. I mean, Sheffield United haven't got a striker that's above 7 goals. Solomon's on 7. So it's kind of getting to a state now where I'm starting to really look at this side. And I mentioned it before. It feels like Leeds are really getting into that flow state of which me and you've spoken on this channel before and said when Leeds hit top gear, when Leeds get to that next level, I'm not sure many teams will be able to deal with us. And it doesn't feel like
they have good players, though. They do have Callum O'Hare. They do have Gustavo Hamer. He's having a good season as well. And they have guys. One of the reasons I brought up and I took away the penalty goals to survey outfield plays, because Sheffield, I think they've scored 5 penalties this year. That's not to take anything away from them, but their actual flow of the match stats aren't quite as good as their overall numbers look. And that they do have players like Tyrese Campbell is scoring every 148 minutes, right? So that they have guys that are good players. Would I rather be us? Yeah, 100%. I think there's only Hamer I would actually take in our team versus anybody else. Maybe anybody else I'd take.
Probably the goalkeeper as well, Cooper.
Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, you would much rather be Leeds than Sheffield. I just think I'm sort of like, right, if we can go away and beat them there, especially hopefully coming out of a win against Sunderland.
That's the context, isn't it, Gabe? Yeah. That's the context. It's if you can go in, because like you just quite rightly said, not a lot of teams are going and beating Sheffield United and consistently beating Sunderland and beating Leeds, because
by the way, just call him Sheffield. There's this guy called Andy Wright in the chat who's getting really wound up by it, so just don't call them Sheffield United.
Mate, I live there. I can't call it Sheffield. They all get very touchy. It's like calling,
don't say the name of our town.
It's the problem.
Sorry, Andy.
Stop it. But yeah, I do think it's sort of. I think Leeds are a better team. I think in the last 10, we've scored 25 goals. They scored 15. Against is the big one as well, Gabe. We've conceded 4 goals in our last 10 games. They've conceded 11. I just think, you look at Leeds right now and look, your context is if we can go, I mean, what would be your, obviously, like you said, it can, Leeds can get no points out of these next 2 and it can be fine. Realistically, it's not great, but Leeds can be absolutely fine. What is your
win both games? The entire league will know it's over.
I think, and I've got this niggle, Gabe, in my head of QPR away and that 4-0 from last season where I'm outside a Manchester pub, absolutely losing my mind on a one Leeds video.
Yeah,
but I've got.
And again, Wilder could tell one of his guys, "Hey, go on there, take a red card. We'll lose the game, but take Pirro out of the match because he scores a goal in every 137 minutes, and a lot of the stuff they put on the board goes through him, and that'll turn our season around. You never know, right? That's why we have these conversations.
Well, should we move on? We'll get through these comments a little bit, and then we'll get onto Sunderland as well, because I want to get you talk. So I think it's just I don't want to speak on Sheffield United too much, because I think it is a little bit disrespectful.
I don't want to speak on Sheffield too much either. You're right.
Yeah. Okay. Surely that's where Farker and his management comes to play, by keeping the boys on the ground and not getting carried away with it.
100% champs.
Liam says, we have an amazing defense, a defense Pascal can't get into, a solid midfield that can be rotated with ease, an attacking force that has scored the most of these in a terrifying best team. I think the thing is, Gabe, as well, I've really liked Gruev, mate. I have at the minute. I'm really, really enjoying Gruev in there. Like it's not like I'm not his biggest fan.
Yeah, but you've come around with it, because I think you've seen him have a little bit more freedom to play 100%, forward. 100%. This is not criticism of Ethan Ampadu, but I do think Tanaka gives you more as a midfield partner, just in terms of two-way play. He's not as good defensively, but he can do more with the ball. So yeah, I think we have an embarrassment of riches right now. So if neither Wilder nor Farka was in the position they're in, you're just looking at these two teams, you say, who would you rather be the manager of? It'd be Leeds, right? So
yeah, of course. A couple more comments as well. Mark says Sunderland will have a go, and that suits me down to the ground. We'll get on Sunderland in a bit. Scott says Sheffield United have the most wins in the league, most away wins in the league. Without the 2 points, would be 3 points ahead of Leeds and 7 in front of Burnley. Say what you want, but Wilder, he's not working wonders. I'm not having his working wonders. Right.
You really do hate Wilder.
I hate this argument.
But let's be real. Before we talk about the argument, I need you to admit that you just
hate it.
Okay, you hate him, though.
No.
Do you not hate Chris Wilder?
I don't. I don't know. I don't hate anyone. Can I just say that?
Okay. I don't. All right. So actual hatred. But
no, I don't hate anyone. I don't. I think.
Does he not wind you up just by existing?
Used to way more than I think when Bielsa was about. He used to a little bit, but not as much anymore. I don't know. He doesn't. Honestly, he doesn't as much as he used to do. But this whole notion that they're all like plucky little Sheffield United, I can't stand it. Let me just read out the team that they have. This is just off the top of my head as well. Vinny Souza, who should not be in the Championship. Callum O'Hare, who for a free agent was probably the best free agent pickup in the summer, of which apparently we were interested in.
You do rate Callum O'Hare as well. I remember you talking about him.
Yeah, Gus Hamer should not be in this division. They've got forward options when fully fit of Tyrese Campbell, Tom Cannon, and Kiefer Moore at this level. They have a very, very good balance side. They have Raksaki, who everybody, including us, were apparently in for in the summer. They've got Brooks, who's a really quick young player who's looking really decent at this moment. Has looked decent throughout the season.
And they lost Austin Trusty, who has the best center half name ever in the history of center halves. Trusty,
mate, Anel at the back. They've still got very decent fullbacks. It's just this notion that his plucky little Sheffield United is absolute rubbish.
Yeah, like they're playing with a Sheffield Wednesday team, or like the worst. Like they've got a Preston side and they're doing this well.
It's rubbish. They had in the most dire point this season. They still had a really decent 11 where they've still got Hamer, I think it was O'Hare, and Raksaki or another. It might have been Brooks on the side, and Souza was still in that team as well. And Tom Davis, ex-Premier League Tom Davis. And they're up against Watford. They won down there 2-1. Don't get me wrong, they were injury-ridden, but they still had the likes of Ryan Brewster coming off the bench. I don't care what any fan says about Ryan Brewster. He cost them like 20-25 million quid. Yeah. Like the championship. Look, at Premier League level, we can have a discussion. You can talk about longevity-wise how good this kid is. But when you're looking at championship and the level down that we've even seen with our players, these players are more than good enough for this level. So just this notion that the plucky old Sheffield United does my head in, and Leeds should be winning the league by 25 points. It's rubbish. Absolute rubbish. So yeah, sorry.
I spun you into my web now of ranting after Tom giving Chris Wilder
and Diaz, Ben Brereton Diaz. Ben Brereton Diaz, another one.
Where, a good point.
So yeah, for me,
and that's what I mean. They have a good team, right? So they may not impress in some of the statistical categories that we do, but they're right there in the points total. So we can't just. I just think it's a little bit. I'm all for us being enthusiastic. I think we need to understand that this team is going to try to make it a tough game. And they have it's not an instant 3 points going away to Sheffield United. But you got to be confident. You got to be confident.
I am confident. Gabe is a Leeds fan, mate. As a Leeds fan, we don't get a hell of a lot of confidence. If we go up to the Premier League,
I'm going to quote myself from earlier. I think we will win.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
I know you're saying that. And I'm just saying from a general perspective, I'm saying, if you're not going into, are you not like, I've got it's nervousness and a bit of anxiety, but I'm going into these two games and I'm like, well, bring it on. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can take the 3 points off them. And I'm kind of at that point now, mate, where we've impressed me so much for the last 6 weeks. I'm like, bro, let's take on another challenge. Let's go to Sheffield United. Let's do the double on them. Let's beat Sunderland as well. And let's take we have this opinion of our team, and it's backed up by all of the statistics. Yeah. All of the statistics say that we're the best team in the division.
Right? Is that what you got there? Statistics or
I got statistics.
Those aren't. No, hang on. Those are just random papers you've prepared so you can hold them up.
Shuffle. Yeah, 100%. Right. Listen, let's get on to Sunderland. I feel it's quite disrespectful right now. We've not spoken about them once, which is a joke.
Yeah, we can't look past them.
You might disagree with this. I think they are a very, 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 very dangerous team. An exceptionally dangerous team at this level. This is where we might have a little bit. We were just talking about data there, and let's just discuss the data. They are obviously fourth in the division right now, but all of Sunderland's data is right up there. Albeit Sheffield United, we were just talking about it there. Sheffield United is a little bit more sporadic across the data spreadsheet. Sunderland's on average, and pretty much on every single metric I just highlighted with Leeds, Sunderland are top 2, top 3. So
except for the form table over the last 10 matches.
Yes, except from form table, of which they've to be fair, they've not lost in the last 5. They reversed a couple of results against Watford and Plymouth, which sees them in a little bit more.
Can you imagine though being like, I guess I'm not going to be that scared of a team that had to reverse a result against Plymouth Argyle. Do you know what I mean?
And Watford, Watford. Well, no, Watford are good. Watford are a good side. They're a good side.
Watford have a better side on paper than they're performing. I think is a more accurate thing to say than Watford are a good side, because they haven't been a good side this season. Look, I mean, there are certainly players of interest there. I just, for me, I'm not particularly scared.
I know I'm going to disagree with you. Yeah.
I'm just not particularly scared of Sunderland. I think that, if I'm looking at a form table, and QPR and Coventry are playing better than Sunderland, and what we just did to Coventry in an open game. And I don't think Sunderland are well suited for a war of attrition. I just talked about how Sheffield, I'm like doing it intentionally now just to wind up that guy. But I just talked about how they, will try to turn it into a war of attrition because it suits their game. I don't think it necessarily suits Sunderland to try to play that way. I think they, in general, play better open. That's when they're their best self. They're not as good at it as we are at all. They don't have nearly the weapons. I think they'd be happy to have some of our bench players in their starting 11. So I'm just not that intimidated by Sunderland. I'm just not. And I think if you take a Melier mistake away and a couple of missed finishes away, I don't think that game earlier in the season was particularly close in terms of what actually happened on the pitch, right? So I'm not that concerned. Do I think it's a game we should breeze over? Absolutely not. You have to go in with a killer instinct. And I think if this was last season's results, I'm not talking about last season's players, but remember when we went on the run last season, there were a lot of, we played Sheffield Wednesday like 3 times in a short span there. And we were only winning matches like 2-0, 3-1, whatever. We're starting to see the handbrake come off a little bit and the floodgates open with goals. We're starting to see things with this Leeds United side with the ball that we thought they were capable of for a while, but we couldn't figure out why it wasn't happening. It does seem to be clicking now. So when you combine that with a more open team like Sunderland, I just think that the matchup favors us much more steeply than it would favor us. And again, I still think we're favored against Sheffield United, but I just think it's a match I would rather play because they're going to try to play open with us and we'll annihilate them in an open match, in my opinion.
I think they've got a lot of probably individuals that overall people will probably know this about me is I'm a big fan of how Sunderland have done things. I think it's come to the point of which now we're talking about this Moneyball data approach of which they go through a betting company, which is very similar to Brentford. And what's happened right now is they've kind of got to that point of which the young players have got a lot older, they've become a lot maturer, and they're actually playing into that, almost hope of which Sunderland had when they first invested in them. And it's quite nice from a general perspective if we weren't looking at this whole scope of us against Sunderland, looking at them and thinking it's actually quite nice football being done that way, Gabe, instead of just in the Championship, the parachute payment teams lumping money at it and us seeing what happens. It's quite nice for maybe a team like Ipswich last season, a team like Sunderland to come through and do what they're doing without all of this monetary backing. I think they've got a lot of good players. I think when I look through that team, I look at the young lad Chris Rigg in central midfield, who is very similar to the Archie Grays. I think if Sunderland remain in the Championship, he will be moving on for probably a very similar fee to what Archie did. I think Joe Bellingham has taken his game to a different level this season, which obviously saw the likes of Bayer Leverkusen and Dortmund interested in him in January and probably holding Pole a little bit for a summer move. I think their fullbacks, genuinely, Gabe, their fullbacks, there is a conversation that they are as good as our fullbacks in Sirkin and Tri-Hume. On the ball, off the ball, I just think that their reading of the game is exceptional. Their assist rate, especially Tri-Hume, is very good. I think this is Isidore up top as well, who I think is very adaptable to the Premier League. I think they've invested so well. And obviously Enzo Lafille, who's probably going to come central for this game with Mundell being back on the left. I think in this game in particular, this is going to be a real tough game for Leeds. I think they build up in a very similar fashion to Leeds. I think a lot of the principles are the same in terms of counter-attacking. The box-to-box midfield has been really important. And 1v1 duels out wide, which I think you're going to get with Mundell and Bogle and Patrick Roberts and Junior Firpo. I think this is going to be a really, really interesting game. And I think it's maybe going to be based on mistakes a little bit.
Maybe they give us a good game for 70 minutes. But when they're going to their bench, they're bringing on Jan Paveda. And we're bringing on... that's
Willie
true. Nanto, we're bringing on, just go down the list. I just don't think it's close. So, I
think that's a good point.
I think just on paper, we're much better. I don't mean to say that it's not going to be a difficult match, but they're going to play wide open. And yeah, they may be young and fearless, but our team is young and fearless as well. We have seasoned professionals. We have international players in this side. And the reality is that there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to handle a club like Sunderland.
I'm just giving them the credit, by the way, guys. A lot of people
and they deserve it. I don't mean to sound dismissive.
No. It's not you. I can just see some of the comments saying, "Let's not worry about them." I think it's just a little bit naive not to worry about them as such when they grabbed the point off us at Ellen Road. At the Stadium. I do think for 30 minutes in that game they were definitely on top. But
I don't mean to dig Mick Wallers out here, but he said, let's stop worrying about Sunderland this season's Ipswich. We all know what happened in that Ellen Road. Well, yeah, Ipswich went up and we didn't, Nick. So I think we do have to worry about them a little bit.
Yeah, and let's be honest as well, mate. There's still 14 games left. There's still 14 games left. If this, and I'm not saying this will happen, guys, but I'm saying every single eventuality tomorrow. I think I've kind of gone back and forth in my head about this. And I am still kind of thinking to myself, well, with each team potentially still going through a little bit of a bad patch, even with whatever result happens tomorrow, for Leeds, it'd be fine. I think it wouldn't be great, but it'd be fine. Puts a lot of pressure on Sheffield United. But even Sunderland on 62, 8 points behind Sheffield United, who would be on 70. And Leeds, if we won, would be on 72. Right. It's 10 points, but we've seen those sort of gaps turn around before. But the big but, with Leeds, I can't see many teams beating us. So obviously, Sunderland might make up that point tally, but Leeds have got to lose a hell of a lot of games for Sunderland to get there. And Gabe, the big thing that we've not spoken about a hell of a lot, mate, and I'd like you to expand on this if you want to, and how important this is Leeds United have the best goal difference in Europe.
Yeah, it's a massive difference if the table's tight. And what it tells you more than, is it going to be a deciding factor of points at the end of the season? Probably not. I just don't think that the top four is quite as deep as it was last season. Because there was like a hair between, the best four teams in the division last season. I just don't think that's quite true now. But what it does articulate is, in terms of outfield play, that nobody in this division is going to duplicate for all the criticisms we had of how it can be more efficient and how, certain players can do better. It's not, we have to rank these players against others in the division and decide against others in the division. And it's the goal difference is absurd. And I don't mean to imply that we don't have good defenders, because they do. They defend well. But there's a reason why you can have a guy like Junior Firpo, who's maybe not known for defense, or Bogle either, who's also not. He's done a good job, but he's not known for his defense either. We control the game through possession. It's very, very, very difficult. This is just basic logic, right? It's hard to attack a team if they have the ball all match. So and then when we do give up the ball, we're really good at winning it back in the attacking third. And then we do have defenders like Rodon and Strauch, and obviously Ampadu when he's playing center half, that do a good job with recovery. We have some central midfielders that do a good job with recovery. So all in all, again, there's no reason on paper. You look at the Sunderland match, you say there's no reason why we can't absolutely take it to them, but you don't want to go in expecting that it's going to be a walk in the park, right? This, as you say, this is a good side, not a deep side, but a good side. And you have to respect them.
100%. With regards to Sunderland, are there any changes that you'd make for tomorrow's game?
No, barring fitness concerns, no.
So you keep Gabe in?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is really harsh, isn't it? But
I mean, Rothwell's. It's not like Rothwell's played his way out. Like he's.
Well, it's Ampadu, isn't it? Zampadu.
Well, Ampadu's going to start at center half. I don't think Strauch is going to be back.
I think Strauch will start at center half.
You think so? I don't think so. I think Farke is going to keep riding with Ampadu.
Well, he brought him on, didn't he, in the last game? And I think he's had 2 games.
But he's got to keep him fit.
He's had 2 games on the bench now, hasn't he? And I do wonder if now he's going to, and let us know in the chat as well what you think he'll do. I think Leeds are a lot stronger with Strauch at the back. I think if Ampadu's in the middle.
I don't disagree. I think we are stronger with Strauch at the back.
They have to deal with that physicality in the midfield. And I think they have to deal with Bellingham in the midfield. I think Rigg being a little bit more of a box-to-box. I'm just I think I don't want Leeds to get outnumbered in there. And I think Ampadu at points covers 2 people's positions. I think he's that good at this level. I think Ampadu's got to be in there to deal with it. I think he's a more combative midfielder than Gruev. I think Gruev's exceptionally perceptive. I think he's very good at reading play, but I think Ampadu is that next level for me. I think we've been missing a trick.
We're going to see that change.
Is that a disadvantage for you? I think it's a bit of disadvantage.
No, because I think with that lineup, we're still good. Good enough to win, and our form with that lineup has been excellent. So if we've seen issues with it, then I'd say, you got a point there. This is a real vulnerability. The only real vulnerability I see in potentially keeping Ampadu at center half is when we play teams that like to, like to hook the ball in with crosses a little bit more, or like to play a little bit of a long diagonal, or play over the top, or because Ampadu's really combative in midfield, but as a center half, he's disadvantaged in a couple of ways.
And you've also got a guy who's like 6'3", up front. And if I'm him, I cannot believe Ellis Sims didn't do this for commentary with the stature of him. He didn't lean on Ampadu. I keep mentioning this, but
Farke just does funny things when players are coming back from injury too. And I'm sure he has his reasons, and I'm sure he has, and they're probably good ones. Again, that guy's forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. But for whatever the reason is, he doesn't immediately plug players back when they're fit. So, we'll see.
Let's get into a couple of comments as well. Not going to lie, I'm in the mindset that I want Leeds wins. I'd rather Leeds put Sunderland further back. I'm already at the point where, Scott, I think you bang on, mate. As much as I don't agree with you, you stands before, mate. I think you bang on with that. I think there was a lot of rhetoric going around. It's probably a little bit of Leeds Sheffield United banter yesterday in terms of, I thought Leeds were the best team in the league, and this will happen if Leeds do win tomorrow night, or even if we draw, it'll be, I thought Sheffield United were the best team in the league. But ultimately, I think this whole landscape right now is about Leeds United keeping Burnley away, keeping Sunderland away, and just even if it's us and Sheffield United, just extend that gap. That's the biggest importance here. Is it? Nobody will care about a title. Some people might, and they'll get upset about me saying that, but I really don't care. It'd be nice. It'd be a nice little gloss, but I don't invariably care about a title right now for the championship.
I have a little bit of trivia for you, Conor. Anybody in the chat? It's all going to feature in. I'm going to breeze over Sunderland and talk about Sheffield again. Sorry. In the match, we're going to have the 5th and 6th ranked key pass players in the league. Who are they? Who has the 5th most key passes? And for anybody who doesn't know what a key pass is, it's a pass that unlocks an assist or goal creating action. 5th key pass rank in the league, and then 6th, all featuring in the Sheffield Leeds match. Who are they? Come on, guys.
Are you on about the game between us and Sheffield United at Ellen Road?
Yes. No. No, I'm saying, I'm not saying in the match. I'm saying like overall in the league throughout the season, you have a rank in this metric. And the 5th best guy in the league and the 6th best guy in the league for key passes are going to play when we play against each other, when we play against Sheffield. Who are they? Who do you think is the 5th and 6th best key pass men in the league? They got the first one.
I'm not looking. I love a good quiz. Tanaka, is he one of them potentially? No. Really?
Correct. No, I'm sorry, incorrect. He's not.
Well, Hamer's got to be one of them, hasn't he?
Hamer is one. That's right. He's the 5th.
Right. So how many more do I need? 4.
No, just only one person.
Okay.
Do you understand the quiz question?
Kind of. Bogle?
No, not Bogle.
Go on. Who's it?
Brendan Aronson. 6th ranked in the league in key passes. What? Why do you laugh like that? I just told you nice about one of our. I just told you something nice about one of our players, and you rolled your eyes.
It's not that.
Never gonna beat the allegations.
This is don't do this now because you know they're all gonna run with that now. Don't do this. Don't twist
Clip
that
it up.
on me.
Clip
yeah. Oh God, you know what you've done now. Jesus Christ. Gonna get YouTube channels running with that, mate. Jesus. No, no. It's
by the way,
funny.
8th is Rothwell. By the way.
Yeah. It's just funny how you always bring Brendan Aronson in. That was what was making me laugh.
Stat sheet.
Brendan Aronson.
It's
just
relevant.
always comes into it with you. It's just great.
Yeah, only you don't want to talk about one of our players
I'm
elite, in a top 6 in an elite statistical category.
Mate, I'm happy to talk about that. I'm happy to talk about that. It's just the amount of times you bring him up just makes me laugh. Ian's just gone clipped. It's not even a Leeds fan.
All right, Ian.
Ian doesn't even get the context. There we go, Louis. American hater Conor McGilly. There we go. Conor hates Brendan. There we go. Normal service resumes. Cheers, Gabe. That's now me batting that off for the next 4 videos. Fantastic. Now I've now got to go over the top with him for the next 5 games, even if he's playing crap.
Even if he's not in the match, I want to see. Do you know who looked good today in warm up? Brendan looked solid. What guy?
Yeah, 100%. What I will say is I was absolutely gushing over him in the Watford game. I was. Can't deny that one. Right. So yeah, Sunderland. You're not seeing them as big a threat as Sheffield United. You presumably seeing that as a bit of a tougher game.
Correct. I mean, again, let me just reaffirm because there seems to be this either or thinking with people in the chat sometimes that either they're the biggest threat you've ever seen or you don't respect them. No, yeah, I do. They're a threat. I just think Sheffield is the bigger game. That's it. Yeah, he does hate apple pie and freedom.
I actually love apple pie. It's one of my favorite desserts with a bit of custard. There we go. Tom says, talking all about Sheffield United. What about Sunderland tomorrow? First, lads.
We just spoke about Sunderland.
Blades beat Leeds and Wilder's Army march onto the title. Burnley sneaks second. Oh, dearie me. Maybe you're right, but I don't think you are. Emmett says, I think we should start Rothwell tomorrow. His surging runs is key to Rothwell, that's another thing to consider. The fact that, when we went up to them last time, I think it was Brown, Bellingham. I think Sunderland fans might be able to pick me up here. Brown, Bellingham, and Chris Rigg in that midfield. And mate, we had a newly composed after battering Sheffield United. By the way, I'll put that in there 2-0. Getting a obviously point down at Carrow Road when Norwich were really good earlier on in that season when Sargent was available, Borja Sainz, Marcelino Nunes, etc. Went down there, got a point. And then we obviously came back to Ellen Road. Went to the Stadium of Light, I should say. And it was a brand new partnership, really, wasn't it, Gabe, of Rothwell and Tanaka, and they were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant.
It's unfair to Rothwell to not be. I mean, there are only a couple players on our side that I would say haven't really done enough to merit time on the pitch. And you're just sort of looking at the rest of them. You're like, it's kind of a toss-up because their form has been really, really good. So football is not fair sometimes. But it's good for the side when you have so many players pushing for playing time.
100%. Brown didn't start. It might have been Dan Neil then. You're testing my Sunderland knowledge there. Right. Okay, mate. Well, I'll tell you what. Philip says, keep this going. Top class show. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. We'll probably be back next Sunday, the day before Leeds play Sheffield United, which will be entertaining. Guys, before you leave, make sure you slap a like on the video. Before we leave as well, score predictions for. I'll tell you what. Let's go both games. Why not? I'm sure we'll.
Actually, you know what? Before you do that, Connor, I'm going to take advantage of my left hand side of the screen pole position here, as you said. What did you do for Valentine's Day? Come on, this is the content that these people really, really dial in for.
Sometimes I just wonder what goes on in your head. I reckon there's a monkey with a tambourine.
It's the end.
There's a monkey with a tambourine in your head.
It's relevant. Somebody gave me a Valentine's Day rhyme. It was like roses are red, violets are blue. Like Gabe's a moron, you are too, or something like that. I missed it.
There's a monkey with a tambourine in your head. I swear.
What did you do over Valentine's Day?
Not even listening, are you? What did I do for Valentine's Day? I stayed in. It's gonna get all mushy, isn't it? Got some flowers, some chocolate, and a spa weekend.
So you got this all for yourself.
a spa weekend away as well. You know what I mean? I need a bit of time away.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So they did that, and I was gonna say I cooked, but we kind of joint cooked. What did you do?
What did I do?
Don't actually. Don't. If it involves your left hand, I don't want to know. What did you?
No, actually, do you know what? Funny enough, I went out to dinner on Friday night in San Francisco. It's All-Star weekend out here. So guess who walks into this restaurant, this Italian restaurant I was in? But Jared Kushner, Ivanka Trump, and their 3 kids.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a photo of it. I'll send you later. It's very weird. Very weird. So yeah, that was my Valentine's Day.
I have a bit of a glow about them.
Yeah, I just got out of prison. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I do appreciate that John Nesbitt has been asking the same question for the last hour, just hoping we would. Yeah, who's this Yank?
I guess
what is the internet.
Not sure what's going on. Tell us, who is this Yank?
He's nobody.
As a Sunderland fan, I believe will be your toughest test. That is true. Sunderland really do well against the bigger teams as well. Which
you might be right, Harvey.
Yeah, you could be right indeed.
Harvey. Did you ever watch Leeds England? Harvey.
Leeds, just chill out. Look, come on.
Sorry,
once a week. Leeds 3, Sunderland 0, Sheffield 0, Leeds 2. Let's get into some different. There's got to be some Blades fans' opinions in here where they're just saying Leeds will lose. Okay, Scott said Leeds 2. So I think that's fair play. Then Ian's in here. Leeds 1, Blades 2, Leeds 1. I'm expecting a very different Sheffield United side, to be fair, because I keep getting told apparently we shouldn't judge them on that last game, so we'll have to wait.
Oh, right, yeah, because the last thing you want to do is judge a club on their recent performances.
No, against the other team as well, where the other team just battered you for 90 minutes. You're not allowed to do that.
It's not relevant. What happened this last week isn't relevant.
No.
Don't pay any attention. Well, where have you gone?
Sorry. Oh, can you see me? Have I gone? I thought we got.
Your audio's still clear.
Is it? I thought we'd gone through a full stream. There we go. We haven't.
Yeah. All right. Let's do score predictions now. Sorry, I've distracted you enough with nonsense about Valentine's Day. For those of you who don't know, though, Connor's a bit of a romantic mush. So he'll post.
Some of you guys think I'm a harsh dude.
No. Connor's a romantic.
I cried at the Robbie Williams film the other day with my mum.
What's the Robbie Williams film?
Do you know who Robbie Williams is?
Yeah, but what's the film?
So the film was what was it called? Hold on, let me ask my mum.
Compelling content is just asking his mum questions. Conor also cried during Titanic. Just have you all know.
Mum's struggling to remember as well, so someone might let me know in the comments.
So is that good that you don't even remember what the film was called?
Better Man. There we go. Better Man. I thought it was. I didn't want to say it. I knew it was better something.
All right.
I didn't want to take a sort of gamble there, but mate, unbelievable film. Basically, he was like he was. In fact, I'm not going to get into that. You just watch it. Just watch it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Some spoilers in here. There you go. Big girl cried too. There you go. I cried too. Fantastic. There you go. Phil, why are you telling this? Just because we're just transparent with the audience.
Phil,
it's Jesus.
Phil's like, I don't want any humanity. Yeah. I only want football content all the time. All right, let's do score predictions.
Leeds Sheffield United fans at the top of the league. Yeah. After tomorrow night, I'm going to be happy to see you in the chat as well, Tom. I'm sure you'll be there. Right, Gabe, go on then. What's your score predictions?
2-1 Leeds over Sunderland.
Yep.
That's my.
Okay, and then I'm actually going to agree with you completely. 2-1.
You predict 2-1 every single time you do a score.
Most popular result in football.
Yeah, it is. It is. You're right.
And then
call me the data analytics man. You're just doing trends.
And then we'll see how much it changes. But we're going to go with we'll go with Sheffield United as well.
Jeremy's just said, I nearly broke down when Bond got killed in the missile at the island. Oh, we have some excellent channel members. Attaboy, Jeremy.
I did cry as well at Castaway with Tom Hanks. My girlfriend just sat there and said they're on the beach too long. I was like, are you serious? Are you serious? You know what I mean?
And by they, it's him and an inanimate object.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable.
Oh,
Andrew says, I think Andrew's a patron as well. We have learned when Connor's confident of a win, he starts eating on camera. Yeah, with this Andrew's bang on. This starts happening. People start handing me snacks when we're winning. I just start eating on. It's a bad habit. It doesn't sound great down the microphone either. So apologies for that.
Phil said he was joking about the previous comments. Why are you talking about this? Attaboy, Phil.
So Leeds, okay. Then Sheffield United.
So those are actual notes. I thought they were just loose leaves.
I'm using a pen. I've got a pen here. It's biro. Go on. What's Sheffield United score?
Sheffield United score. Leeds 3, Sheffield United 1.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it, Gabe. How to rattle all the Sheffield United fans in the chat as well.
I think it'll be a close match, and I think Leeds will crack it open in like the 86th minute and score a couple of goals.
Yeah, it's going to be the difference between Championship and Premier League, I reckon. I'm going to go... Oh, that's a really good scoreline. Oh, it's really annoying because I think they'll score. Do I go stupid?
I think they'll score.
Do I go stupid? No, I'm not. I'm gonna go 2-1 again.
Come on. Stop it with this.
All right, okay, fine. I'll go 1-0. We've beaten them. We've beaten them. We've beaten Tom. Leeds pick up 1 point in the next 2 games. That's fine, mate. We fall apart again. But what I will say, mate, is you've beaten us once in 5 games, mate. Once in 5.
Tom, are you one of those guys that sits around his flat singing "Leeds are falling apart again" by himself?
Yes. Yes.
With just the worst, mushy peas and
Stop it. Just stop going down the English stereotypes again. Right. Okay. So yeah, I've got 1-0 Leeds. Right, mate.
Instant chips, oven cooked.
Right, we'll leave it there. Guys, we will see you next week. Really appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.